Good afternoon. We're speaking to Ed McCann, Berks County's Director of Workforce Development and the Chief Operating Officer of the Berks County Workforce Investment Board.
That's it.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like you have a lot to do with workforce development in one way or another.
Yeah, we do. It's interesting because workforce development in the last probably 7 or 8 years has become probably one of the highest interest topics that people have. I think they have some indication that the market has changed, that skill sets have changed, and most of all, I think companies that are looking at either expanding or locating in Berks County understand that the biggest thing distinguishing one place from another is the quality of its workforce. Almost everything else can be washed out in the rain, but either you grow good employees who can help a company stay competitive, or you don't have it.
Now, to the extent that you can be objective about this, where does Berks County stand in terms of the quality of its workforce?
It's spotty. We clearly have some very talented people in this county, and always have, and had, and still have to a great extent, a reputation for conscientious workers. What I think is frayed a little bit around the edges, for a number of reasons, is the quality of some of the younger workforce, and the educational skill levels which are now required. There was a point in time when I was a kid, for example, you could drop out of school, you could get a job in a manufacturing company in Berks County. If you proved yourself to be reliable over a couple of years, either with that company or another one, you could move up to a really good, solid middle-class income. You need more education, you need more skills, you need more training now than you did then.
There have been some pretty high-profile examples of companies moving into Berks County,
Yep.
Bringing with them a couple of hundred jobs.
Yep.
Dollar General, PetSmart being the two best examples. How good are these jobs, and what part did the quality of the workforce play in bringing those companies?
I think, first of all, I think they're pretty good jobs. Those jobs, those are both distribution facilities. One of the advantages Berks County has is its location. You can, if you want to be in the distribution business, you can reach 60% of the population of the United States in overnight trucking from Berks County. So it's a good location. If you look at the Bethel Park where those folks are locating, it's right off an interstate, has good connections from that to other interstates. It's a great location. The jobs will probably pay in what is a pretty traditional range for distribution and warehousing employees. They'll probably pay in the $12 or $13 an hour range. So they're not the highest paying job in the world, but they're a good income for an awful lot of people.
This puts you in competition with, I would think, other places in central Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
How do you separate yourself from Cumberland County or York County or?
York County probably has a little bit of an advantage for people who see their market as, say, south of Washington. But for companies who see their market more through the middle Atlantic states into New England and into the Middle West, I think we have a little bit of an advantage in the connections here. We'd have a little bit more of an advantage if we'd ever get 222 North fixed, but we still have a pretty good advantage there. There are some areas I think too that are probably a little overbuilt in that sector. With no disrespect to any of the people there, most of whom I know, I think the Lehigh Valley falls into that category a little bit.
We just had some new news about employment data in the paper today.
Mm-hmm.
Help us step back from the trees a little bit and give us more of the big picture in terms of what you're seeing.
What we're seeing is two things. One, I think, is pretty clearly understood by most people, and one maybe is not. We're still seeing the effects of the recession. I know technically the recession has ended. Those are decided, beginning and ending dates are decided by a group called the Committee on Business Cycles, and if they say it's over, it's over. But nonetheless, there's been very little real decline in unemployment since the official end of the recession. Growth is still slow. I'm not particularly alarmed by the latest little blip of going up 0.2 of a point on unemployment for 1 month. But if you still look at it, it's hovered around 8%. And I think all of us can remember when this county and most others in this part of the world were running unemployment rates under 5%. And if you go back to the real boom years, I can remember when a friend of mine said, people are working who shouldn't be. The job market was that good. It's not that good anymore. The thing that I don't think everybody realizes yet is that that recession, which was basically a demand-driven recession, sort of masked other things that had been happening in the labor market for a long time, which was the kind of structural changes I alluded to earlier about changes in the degree of skills that people had to have. I think also some of the job losses in manufacturing in Berks County are a little bit misunderstood too, because manufacturing output is still very high. They're doing it with fewer people. They're doing it with more skilled people, and they're doing it with industrial automation.
But yeah, technology and more efficiency has helped them
Yep, absolutely.
maintain output.
But it does explain to a little bit of an extent anyway why even during a recession you'd see these articles in the press about the anomaly of seeing high unemployment and employers who can't find employees, because there's a skill mismatch. And at one point, about a year and a half ago, the Deloitte consulting firm did a nationwide study for the National Association of Manufacturers and found in their estimate at that time there was up to 60,000 unskilled jobs because the skills weren't available in the labor force in the United States. I'll give you another example. Steve Jobs wrote a book and was trying to explain why his company had 70,000 people working for them in Japan. And he said it's because to have those 70,000 people working on the factory floors, we need 3,000 engineering technicians, and they're pretty hard to find in the United States.
One more question, and we'll let this be the end of the conversation. Going forward the next 6 months, do you anticipate the economy to show the same kind of sluggish?
That's my anticipation. I'm not an economist, but my guess is that we're not going to see any real big change in either the economic growth rate in the United States or the employment rate, or the decline in the unemployment rate, until at least the third quarter of 2013.
All right, Ed McCann, thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.